around to the other side, I have left the bind. I have abandoned the bind bonus. If I throw my cut here, and I wind, and I thrust, and I do some good secret cut maneuvers, then I am getting the bind bonus. If I crash, and I transfer to my hands, and then I cut without the sword being bound, still a bind bonus, because I maintain control of his weapon. Okay, another issue with the bind bonus is counter thrusting. So if I thrust Dylan and my point lands on him, and then I turn to counter, no bind bonus, because my priority was the strike, not the manipulating the bind. However, if I come in and then push through, I get the bind bonus. Another example that Dylan likes is if I throw a cut and he blocks, and I get the kill like Sharky style. That is good. That is a bind bonus. Okay, half sorting as long as I don't come off and start again. It's good. Okay, what else was next? So a little bit on the afterglow situation versus doubles. Obviously, if we hit each other at the same time, this is a double. If he hits me and my sword is already moving and I land a hit, still a double. If I am here and I change my direction and come around to the other side, not good. The rest of it is really just tempo and timing. The judges will be listening for the sounds of impact to see if they're really adjacent or if there's a break between them. And what else is on the list? Okay, so the question is about transitioning from there and I just keep my head on my sword, obviously. We crash, and he drives my sword down, okay, and I let go, and I switch. That is fine, okay? I'm just dropping the sword within my vicinity, within about 1 arm radius for me, okay? If I am over here, and I throw my sword at you, and then I do this, definitely not allowed. If I am here in a bind with Dylan, and I want to drop my sword entirely and switch, if I throw that way, yeah, I wasn't throwing it at him, but it could hit someone else, so that's a no-go. Really, you can drop it straight down, just not throwing it in. I think that's it. Small things, one was about blade grabs. So if we grab, and his sword is stopped, and I grab the blade, good, that's fine, I can do that. It starts the grapple counter for a couple seconds to the judge's discretion. If he throws the sword at me and I just grab it, no, it's a hand hit, okay? If there is a request at me, and I grab it, and he very obviously pulls it back out of my hands, sliced in the hand. Speaking of slices, if I land a very insufficient hit on Dylan, like here I placed my flat and then I turn, if I want a slice, I need to travel about a third or a quarter of the blade to prove that it was there, or if it's against his front, it could push him as part of that would be acceptable. Or if I was reversing, I really want to see it come on to the person, like you're slicing at least a quarter of the blade. And there's one more that I've forgotten now. Slices, blade edges. Oh, okay. Shoulders and hips. So you can actually just move your sword out of the way for this one. Yeah, actually do that. Good job. So, obviously these are kind of confusing zones. Is this a shallow target or a deep target, right? It's just going to depend on the angle. If it's coming in pointed towards the torso, we can count it as torso. If it's coming straight down as though you cut through past the torso, it'll just be a shallow hit. For the hips, I would say if it's coming up into the organs, that would be a deep target. If it's coming down into the bone and the butt fat, then it would be shallow. It's really going to be up to the judge's discretion, and it will also depend on the quality of hit, right? Even if if you wanted to call a deep hit for hitting down into the hip, it would have to be a lot of sufficient force. If it's just a little slice like here, the judge might decide that that is a light strike, and that is everything we need to report.